That's the Arran Blonde from the Isle of Arran Brewery off the west coast of Scotland. Quite a strong beer, 5%. As always, it says on the bottle, served chilled, but I always prefer ales to be served just slightly below, this is my first, below room temperature, because it allows the flavours to sort of come to the fore, as it were. It's very malty. Anyway, there is a saying, and I don't know if it's relegated to Europe, or to Britain, or to Scotland, or to the east coast of Scotland, and it's in relation to the public transport system and how unreliable it can be. Not so much in this day and age, although in saying that, it's been quite a while since I've had to use public transport on a regular basis, since I've had a car for goodness knows how many decades. But in my youth I used to use a bus on a regular basis, and it wasn't unusual for you to be standing at the bus stop and the time for your bus comes and goes, and you're waiting and you're waiting and waiting, and then the time for the next bus approaches, and all of a sudden both the buses come out at the same time. And I can actually remember getting on one of those buses, and as obviously the bus stops to let us on, the on-time bus overtakes it, and then it gets the passengers at the next stop, and then we overtake it and get the passengers, and we leapfrog this way and, to the destination. As I say, it probably doesn't happen these days but with GPS. I mean, our bus stops have little digital displays on them that tell you when the next bus is due, because it obviously has something in the bus, and the bus, and it's linked to the shelters, and it says the next bus is due in 155 seconds or whatever. Anyway, excuse me, the point of this somewhat long-winded exposition is that you would say, you wait for ages and then 2 buses come at once. Well, you've been watching this channel for ages, and then all of a sudden 3 jets come at once, because I'm actually in the process of building 3 jets, 3 non-propeller driven aircraft. Well, between now and November, shall we say. I've made a start on 2 of them. One is still waiting in the wings, as it were. The first one it's actually because of our club competition night, the June one, which is on June the 4th, first Thursday of every month. And the theme is strange camouflage. Now, I was originally going to get myself a Liberator, a B-24 Liberator, and do it in one of the assembly ship schemes, which obviously isn't a camouflage. I mean, it's actually the antithesis of camouflage, because it's designed to be, hello, I'm here, follow me. But, I mean, I would have to mask and paint, and I don't think I have the time to do it justice, because I kind of thought about that quite late. And I was searching through the stash, trying to rack my brain, was there anything in there that actually has anything that's a strange or even slightly peculiar camouflage? And no, there wasn't. But then I remembered, and you may remember this as well, a year past last Telford, J. Laverty, the editor at Sam, gave me the 144th Edward MiG-21, but it was the bunny colour scheme, the pink colour scheme. So I thought, well, if that doesn't qualify for a strange camouflage, I don't know what is. So I'd already made a start on it. I mean, here it is in a little poly bag. It's more or less built, the cockpit's done, I got a resin ejector seat in there. So it's in its final stages, so I need to get that ready for June the 4th, for our strange camouflage one. But I mean, pink as well, I suppose. I was thinking of doing one of the Spitfires in the pink colour, but I thought, worried about that one on the go. The other jet is the big old Hobby Boss 2-seater prototype A10, so I've made a start on it. You can see here the engine assembly. I've sprayed them black. You know how we normally use a Sharpie to highlight lines? You can see on the wing there, on the undercarriage pods, as it were. Because this kit is a lovely kit, but it's not without its fit issues. They're not extreme like some of the kits I've just recently built, but just about every join has needed attention, and there was quite a lot of joins on the engine assembly. So rather than just use Sharpie over the seam lines, I just sprayed the whole damn thing black. It did need a bit of attention, and further attention, and then further attention after that. But And it's going to build into quite an impressive looking kit. I mean, it's a fair old size. I mean, if I can get it. Yeah. Once the engines are on, should look quite. Oh, and the tailplane. I'd have put it the right way around, wouldn't it? So it'll look quite nice. You get the idea. I've actually ordered a couple of resin ejector seats to go with this, like the SGU 17, the Martin Baker Mark 14 or something. Ares do a set, which you get 2 seats, and both seats have different harness placement, non-identical harness placement they call it. Because obviously if you've got 2 ejector seats that come out of the same cast, with the seat harnesses sitting exactly the same, it doesn't really look realistic, because that wouldn't happen, would it? Well, the chances of that happening are sort of millions and millions to one. But anyway, Ares do 2 seats with 2 different harness placements. And the thing is, I actually then did the research for this aircraft, and there is pictures of the prototype, which is sitting in the desert, decaying away, all faded under the sun. And I thought that would have been quite a nice little subject to do, with all the faded paint. But I've already actually gone and got the paint for it, the sort of the gunship grey or whatever it's called. And I thought, it seems a shame to waste all the ordnance that you get. I think you get 4 sprues of ordnance for this thing. And granted, 2 of the things I hate, that I don't favour jets with, is the stencils, the stencil data on the decals, and ordnance. I could just rarely be bothered with sticking all these missiles and bombs together. But I'm going to go for a full loadout on this one. I'm going to do it as if it had just been paraded in front of the people who pull the purse strings for the USAF, as it were, because obviously it was an actual prototype at one stage. Obviously never went into production, so I'm going to do it as if it was just rolled out, as it were, minimal panel fading and shading and whatnot. There will be variations because it is a dark screen. It's the night all-weather variant. But I'm going to go for a full weapons loadout on it as well, and use the resin ejector seats. So that's what I'm building at the moment. I'm just waiting on they've actually been dispatched. They're en route, as it were. And inside that package are another 2 ejector seats for the other jet. Now, just the other week there, me and a few of the other club members, we paid a visit to, it was kind of a pilgrimage if you like, to a shop in Glasgow called Jamie. I'm going to make a sneeze. You hate that feeling when you get it in your nose. It's just, it's like someone inside's going, if there's a membrane that causes you to sneeze, someone's going like this and poking it, and you can feel the sneeze. But excuse me, I've just come out of a really bad kind of throat infection-y, chest infection. The wife had it a couple of weeks back, just before the Scottish Nationals, and I was kind of sort of, well, I'm going to get that for that. But I didn't. I waited until I was in the middle of my night shift before I got it, and I'm just coming out of it now. Where was it? What was I talking about? Yes, our pilgrimage to Jameson's in Glasgow, a model shop that's been in existence for about 3,000 years, I think. And Ian, the owner, is finally closing the door, so we decided to go through for one last visit. It's quite a shame because, well, for many reasons, but when we go to the Glasgow show in October, it was always part of the tradition that after the show we would visit Jameson's in the last hour of the day, and then just literally across the street from Jameson's there was a Greasy Spoon cafe, and you used to get, well, you still get, a really good fish supper. £5.50 for a City Doon fish supper is great. I mean, it's kind of sacrilegious to eat with a knife and fork, but anyway. So all that'll be by the by. We did go in there for one last fish supper, because as I say, we won't be entering that part of town anymore, because technically Jameson's isn't there, and the reason to do it in the first place isn't there. But I was reliably informed by the chaps when I got into the car, because I actually missed the last club meeting because of that night shift week. That in addition to the little Curtis Hawks that we just built for the last club competition, that in time for Telford, it was unanimously decided, if unanimous means without me, that we were also going to build another Hawk, that being the British Aerospace Hawk in 1/48 scale, so that we'd have a little row of Hawks and then another row of sort of bigger, different Hawks, as it were. And whereas the rules for the Curtis Hawk was, it was the Airfix kit, out of box, blah blah blah. Well, the rules for this one is that there are no rules. It's a 1/48th scale British Aerospace Hawk in any of its derivatives, in any colour scheme, in any detail level. And whilst I was through at Jameson's, I picked up this little puppy. Excuse me. The Kinetic T45 Goshawk, the American variant, which has the strengthened undercarriage, obviously for carrier landings, the twin front wheels and whatnot. It looks quite a nice little kit. I've never built a Kinetic kit, and I've been told to expect some, that I might need to apply some modelling skills to it. Possibly no more than the hobby boss, let's hope not. But lovely surface detail. The cockpit detail's not bad, but as I say, I've got a couple of true details, resin seats coming for it. Although I did read that the rear ejector seat is different from the front ejector seat because it has a different canopy breaker arrangement. But I'm going to be showing it with the canopy closed anyway, as is my want these days. But it'd just be nice to do something in a trainer scheme as well, the white and the orange as well. So there we go. So that's the 3 jets I'm going to be building. Well, that has to be ready for November, so that'll be the last one. The MiG will be first, and then, well, I would imagine June the 4th. What is this? May the 50th? Well, I suppose probably this and the MiG will probably come to fruition at about the same time. Also on the bench, I'm building Edwards' old but still good, the P39L Aerocobra. More or less out of box. It's a Profi pack, so it came with some photo etch instrument panel and the odd detail here and there. I did replace the seat belt, which was a pre-painted photo etch seat belt, so the minute you bend it to form it around the seat, the paint just flakes off. Why do that? And I replaced it with one of the super fabric seat belts to give it a nice, well, sort of scrunched, crumpled, haphazardly strewn look. And I'm going to do this one in, it's a US scheme, and it was one of the North American schemes. It was originally an olive drab, overall olive drab, but it was repainted in the UK using the sort of the North African scheme, the two-tone, the light earth and the dark earth, and the azure blue underneath. And when I was at the Scottish Nationals, I picked this up from a friend of mine who has a company called Man Models, Military Aviation and Navy Models, which does give some interesting Google search results. We suggested that you should call it NAM Models, Navy, Aviation and Military, but he decided on Man Models. So it, yeah, as I say, if you Google it, you might get some things that you're not looking for. But he has this new range of Polish paints by a company called Hataka. I know it sounds Japanese, but they're actually Polish. And they do these little sets, and they do this North African, oh, it's the RAF and Africa paint set. So you've got the dark earth, the midstone, and the azure blue. You get interior green, which it's never a bad thing to have extra interior green. But that will do just nicely. And apparently these are very nice acrylic paints. They come in the little, the eyedropper bottles, very similar to, you know, your Vallejo, that type of thing. And apparently all you need to do is put a couple of drops of water to dilute it. Apparently it sprays very, very nice. So we'll find that out when we come to colour in the Aerocobra. It actually should be quite a nice, attractive little thing, because we've got the azure blue underside, we've got the midstone and the dark earth, as well as a few panels that are still olive drab, has a red spinner and yellow bands on the wings. So it'll be a very colourful actually. Oh, and also the red band around the stars and bars as well. So it'll be a very, very colourful little thing when we're done. I'm going to show it with the doors closed, the car doors closed, for the simple reason that they're very thick. I mean, I did consider maybe trying to cut one out of brass and use an acetate sheet for the window, but again, you still have the thick fuselage. I mean, I know I could have pared it down a bit, but I'm starting to enjoy the look of aircraft with everything closed. You know, it just gives it a nice line. If they fit, there was a bit of a weird. I mean, as you can see, I've been using the Sharpie quite extensively on this. and there was a bit of a fit issue. This bit fitted okay, this bit fitted okay, but the forward fuselage was slightly, one bit was slightly ahead of the other. So we do have a little step right at the top here, not much, but enough that can cause problems. But what I'm more concerned about is the front edge of the windscreen, where the windscreen is going to bed against the fuselage. There is a slight step there, so I'm going to have to fill that with probably the Mr. Dissolve Putty. Sorry, my nose is running here. Wait a minute, hang on. That's better. I should have done that in the first place, huh? Yeah, so now when I look at it now, you know, right down from the top, there is quite a step, but, and I don't know which one is the correct one, whether it's this one or this one, so whether the windscreen's meant to fit against, hopefully it's meant to fit against the one that's furthest away, in which case I could just trim or pare away some of the plastic on the other one. I dare say we'll find out when I come to doing that. Now, also, I just thought I'd share this with you because I was starting to think of a subject to make a video about, and I thought, well, might as well make one about everything. When we were at the Scottish Nationals, I'm kind of at that stage. When I built this man cave, I said to myself, I've got a 1000mm, these are kitchen units that I've used in here, and I have a 1000mm, which is about 3.5, is it even 3.5 feet, or maybe about 3 feet, base unit. And I said, that is where I keep my stash. When it's full, nothing else goes in. Unless I make room for it by taking something out and building it, then I could put something else in. And as a result, I now no longer sort of have this desire to go daft and buy kits. And I find myself looking at the rows and rows of boxes going, doop, 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 and just very little takes my fancy. I mean, when you start back into a hobby after a hiatus, after whatever, however many years, you always start with something popular, like I did with Spitfire, and I did a Messerschmitt and whatnot. And then your tastes become a little bit more eclectic, and you want to do the weird and the wonderful and the more obscure, such as that cauldron thing I just did. So it takes quite a bit for me to sort of go, ooh, I'm going to have that. But I bought this kit at this. I mean, all my club mates were coming, you know, bags full of kits that they were buying from right, left, and centre, and I'm sitting there with like a small bag of paint and a paintbrush or something, because that was all I bought, just some supplies. But one of the stalls is actually run by one of our club members, who moonlights with, it's actually a historic airbase or air station quite close to here called Montrose. He's also the curator of the Scottish Museum of Plastic Model Kits, which he runs basically from his garage. Viewing by appointment only. I think he's got it disassembled at the moment. But he has hundreds and hundreds of really old rare kits all in their boxes, and he collects them. But anyway, he just recently spent about £4 buying up a load of kits from some guy who was getting rid of them. Don't worry, Dave will turn a decent profit on them. Dave can turn a profit on just about anything. But anyway, I was looking through, as you do, because generally Dave doesn't have that great a selection of kits, and all of a sudden he had all these Hasegawa and Tamiya, and I was like, wow, we were like kids in the candy shop. But anyway, I saw this one, Boba Fett's Slave One. Now I built this back when it first came out, in that sort of no man's land period when I was a kid and used to build kits all the time, and then when I returned to it as an adult, and I built one or two kits in between that time. And this was one of them. Now, it says Airfix on the box, and it was released by Airfix, but trust me, that's as far as the Airfix goes, because it ain't Airfix plastic, it's in the box. The odd thing is, I bought this on the Saturday of the Scottish Nationals, and on the Friday night, I mean, I had no idea that this was there, but on the Friday night, the wife and I watched The Empire Strikes Back, and I thought it was quite cool. Anyway, and so I jumped on it. It was £10. Well, it was actually 12, but I managed to get, it's like getting blood out of a stone, but I actually got it for £10, which is actually very good, because I think these things go for about 40 quid on eBay. But the modelling misfit known as Aaron Newlands has just, well, when I say just, it started on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. It's a Star Wars group build that culminates on December the 18th, which is basically what this year is. Just it's been a countdown to December the 18th when The Force Awakens comes out. That's all this year's about, basically. And you find yourself thinking, God, I hope there isn't like an asteroid strike or a zombie apocalypse or a plague or famine or something. And then you think, well, at least not until after the 18th, because you don't want to miss this thing. But I'm going to have a go with this one, Aaron. I'm going to try and build it. Well, when I say try and build it, build this one because it is chipping heaven. The thing with Star Wars kits is, as I've said before, it's all about the painting. It's a beautifully detailed kit. I mean, the underside, the engine piece, this thing here, I think there is a date on here. God, I need my glasses. I can't read that. I'll put it underneath what it is, because it actually shows you who's. It was made in the USA. Nope, can't read that. Can't see the date on it either. Oh yes, I can. Look, 1982, which would make sense because the Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980. But there's some beautiful detail on this. Absolutely exquisite. So, I think it does need the odd little thing to bring it up to, if you want to sort of make it like, well, obviously it's not studio scale, but you know what I mean. Just tart it up a bit to make it more realistic. But, and hopefully, I mean, I know that the fuselage halves have a slight warp about them. Nothing that I'm sure I'll be able to deal with. I mean, that point's touching and that point's touching, and there's a big gap in the middle, but some lovely detail on that thing. Is that going to be bright enough? You're going to be able to see that? Shine the light on there. Yeah, see what I mean? Lovely detail on there. But as I say, it's going to be chipping heaven, because the thing is all chipped to hell and back. I think it's 1/72 scale, judging by the size of the Boba Fett figure, and you also get on the clear part. There's the canopy still attached. It's not too bad. I mean, I can see my finger quite clearly under there, but you get a little Han Solo and carbonite. So, it'd be nice to actually do this on the platform, the Cloud City platform. Although that would have to be scratch built. But anyway, so that's pretty much what's on the bench, what's going to be on the bench. There is one other small thing here, which is the Revell 1/72 scale, the P26 pea shooter. Somebody got me this for Christmas, which is the Starfighter Decals overhaul set, which includes a resin cockpit, resin engine, and a few resin details for the thing. But I mean, it's tiny. I mean, absolutely tiny. It's about the same size as my finger. It's very dark in that cockpit. I tried taking photographs of it, but you can't see anything. So I'm having to go with that one. I'll do it in the sort of the blue, very colourful scheme, just the way it comes in the Revell kit, that colour scheme. You can get other decal options, but it'd be nice just to do it in that one. I'll probably have to use the decals. I think that might be just a wee bit tricky to paint on that scale anyway. I'd actually like to do this as a 1/48th or even 1/32 scale. I know there are a few available. So there we go. I can't think of anything else to impart to you. I know I could be doing that Star Destroyer for the group build, but as I said at the time, that's going to be a long-term build, in that it hasn't really changed a great deal from the last time you saw it. So I think I know what I'm going to do with the lighting. It's just a case of doing it. I also have an A-wing. Is it AMT? They make it AMT Ertl or something. Again, that I bought way back in the day. I built it and I've ripped it apart and tried to sort of rebuild it and scribe the panel lines, but that was before I knew how to actually do the panel lines. So the intention I was going to do with that one is again strip it right back to the bare bones, take all the paint off, scratch build the cockpit and vac form a canopy and put lights and all this nonsense. Don't hold your breath for that one. That's a way down the list. I mean, there's no way I'm going to get that done for this year's group build, but I do quite fancy doing it. I mean, some people might say, well, that's a rare kit, you shouldn't be building it. It's a kit designed to be built, and it's a Star Wars kit, and it's Slave 1, and enough said. Anyway, I'll let you guys get back to your life, and I'll get back to my Aaron Blonde. Toodaloo.